Okay, want to get some videos out the way. It's going to be quick. Not much to this. I just picked this up a couple of weeks ago, actually, a few weeks ago maybe. Just so it's at Walmart. It's looking around, seeing what kind of Hot Wheels and stuff they got. And that's where I got this from. So, yeah, and I saw this. Like, they have a bunch of the other cars from Fast and Furious series, but this was probably one of my favorites from the series. They got quite more exotic later on after Fast and Furious 3, at least maybe even the last, like after 5 or 6 or 7, whatever, once they went to like more exotic location and they basically became like super spies or something. Um, yeah, then they got the really fancy stuff. But this is still at least these are nice import cars. This is Han's RX-7. And yeah, that was always like when you first see that in the movie, it's like, wow, what car is that? And then it's like a heavily, wide-bodied RX-7. Do not describe the gen. It's not the current one. Well, do they even still have RX-8s? It was before the RX-8s, just before that, right? And anyways, you know the movie. You're gonna know this car. So let's bust this open and looks like you can adjustable wheels. So it looks like here you can give it that really goofy slam down look where you got to really have heavy camber, I call it camber, and just to get those wheels tucked into a really low car, which I don't really like that look myself. I don't really like it when cars are overly low, like to the point where the rims are underneath the fenders, and so you barely see any tires on the top. I think that doesn't look too good. You need to see the whole tire, but just keep it all tight underneath the fenders like this, kind of with a little bit of poke, just fill that wheel gap out. Because most of the time, stock, the wheels are a bit inset, and so you just need either the wheels themselves has a certain offset, or you got to add spacers or something. So there we go, pretty simple. Who's this by anyways? 25 years, small blocks, die cast. It's not here. Jada. I guess it's Jada. They do some other like larger, a little bit larger, like kind of close to this, larger than this is the Hot Wheels XL, and I got this one. I'm not sure if I'll throw this in the video too. This is the 91 Mercedes-Benz 500E, one of my favorite cars of the E line back in the day, the early 90s. This is just before I think they were taken or part of Chrysler, and it's a classic, really boxy look like that. And then with the 500E in particular, you can tell this is probably a bit exaggerated, but it did have wider like fenders, especially in the front. You could tell that they're just meatier like fenders over the over the standard E class, which just made it look like a pretty badass car. Overall, this is cool, like a large version of I think I do have a smaller version of this at home at the regular 1/64 scale. I'm not familiar what scale this is, XL. I'm sure there's somewhere online. The only thing I'd say is they're just missing that Mercedes badge, which would be sticking up at the end, right? But for Hot Wheels and at this scale, even though it's larger, it's maybe a little bit hard for them to do, not quite economical, but at least they still have mirrors. I resisted I think the Jada version of this, I think it's 1/32 scale, so not 1/24, which would be my preferred kind of good size scale model, which is pretty close to these guys, I guess. Like most, I think they're fairly close to 1/24 scale. But anyway, so set up in this configuration. So let me see if I can drop this down lower so you can see it. Maybe I'll probably have to take it off the stand. Yeah, let's take it off the stand so you can see how it looks like. You want to see it from the ground on the floor, right? So let me zoom in. So yeah, looks like that. Still rolls. This is why. One thing is, I think that's just goofy looking when it's so heavily cambered. Maybe I don't even think some extreme race cars even do that. This is not my style. And plus, you just have super uneven wear. really balding on the inside, and it's not good. But let's see how easy it is. Is it click? Let's see, or does it? It's just kind of, there's only basically two positions, so now it's straight. Should he have actually two exhaust pipes? That's a good question. I need to look that up. I wonder if it's supposed to have two instead of just one. Whatever. I got this because, one, it's cool kind of representation in like a super deformed format. It's kind of like the Hot Wheels tuned. You know, they got these really kind of you know, super deformed versions of like some classic cars. I have a few of those. It has a bit of poke, and it holds okay, I think. It wants to naturally camber. And also, let's see, I feel that not the best. Like this one, does this even? It kind of locks, but it's a little bit loosey-goosey. And and then also, yeah, this one feels like it sticks out a little bit more, but maybe it's not the same on both. I'd still prefer it this way, just straight. Or maybe the inside should be like this. You could do half and half. I don't usually like it like this, but you know, maybe in the super deformed mode, it actually works better. Because, let's see, push it back out. I feel like there's just too much gap. It doesn't look lowered though, that's the thing. I think the pivot point for whatever these, the thing is, where like, you know, hinges, the camber is just, it's a little bit not quite in the right place, but I mean, it's okay, but I think, yeah, at least it just leaves too much of a gap. That doesn't look good, and there's no way to really fix that the way how loose this is. So I guess cambered it is. It's the front, and I suppose I'll have to do the back. At least this looks low. This might be a little bit much on this side. I wonder again if I left it straight in the back and just cambered the front. Nah, that doesn't look right either, huh? And again, if I do this, it's just too much poke. You know, I have to like set it. This will be the better angle. Well, still, it's just too much gap up there. Well, at least this didn't cost me too much. I think this is like, I think it was around $5, maybe $7. I thought it wasn't that much. But at least they have the mirrors on here. Guess it's gonna have to be like that. But anyways, yeah, it's just kind of like the tuned version of from Hot Wheels. So I just wanted something, although this is a bit larger in scale than those, but it's all right. It's just for a fun little desktop thing, or just to put with the other Hot Wheels or 1/64 scale stuff in general that I have. Which reminds me, I got to open some of these guys that I think I showed off a while ago. These are nice. You can see, compare the scale. You can definitely this is larger, and of course not in any way in proportion, anyways. But this one would be a badass open, as well as this guy. I've been trying to clear out some stuff so that I can set up the showroom display box where I was planning to put most of these. And I also, even though I already have a white, kind of going off on a tangent here, even though I have a nice like white slant nose, you can't really tell because it's covered, but it says rough, but I don't know, you can kind of tell through the plastic there. You see the front, you can see it, the headlights are down. This is, you know, I like this in the white, and I got this first, and then I just happened to be, again, going through, I think, maybe it was Target this time, and I found, you know, I started going through their Matchbox, and I saw this on, like, Amazon, or maybe even on AliExpress, and so, and I was between this and the white one of the other brand, and I like the white version of this. It just stands out, but then since I saw this at the store, I said, why not this is probably one of my favorite, it's not my favorite Porsche of all time, I think. I've just always liked that over the the regular standard Porsche where the headlights are just round and kind of, bug-eyed, popped up in front already, just fixed. This just keeps it clean in front, and I don't know, I just always like that look more, and it looks kind of badass in all black too. It reminds me of a movie from, I believe it was Disney way back, called Condor Man. It's a goofy movie about like an artist, comic book, I think a comic artist that wrote this thing about this superhero that had all these, gadgets, kind of based on himself, but and he's Condor Man, and he has all these like, he's kind of like Batman, but Condor Man, and so he's got these like gadgets, high-tech stuff, cars that can have all these, weapons or, things to like foil like the bad guys that are after him and stuff like that. And then there was a set of Porsches that were after him on this one scene in where you see in the Condor car, I guess, Condormobile, and it's on a windy European road. And then this was the team leader. He had like a silver, like one eye was like silver chromed, and but he was just a bad guy. And he was the only one that drove the black slant nose Porsche, and then the rest of them, his minions that were in his team that was, were after Condor Man, was driving the standard, Porsches that had the round headlights, and they all got blown up except his. Dueling it out with Condor Man, but anyways, but I still thought it was cool that they showed the black slant nose as the as a villain's car in that movie. Although I question if it's real, could have been a kit car, but whatever. That's what was trying to be represented there. If it wasn't, going back to this, yeah, I mean, if you like Fast and Furious and you like this alternate style like this, something just kind of fun, I guess goofy. And there's a variety of the cars. Of course, they got his, Brian's R32. I'm sure they got, what's his name, Dom's, you can see right here, you gotta have at least the, what is that? I think it's a Charger, right? The original Supra that he raced against, or I guess, yeah, he made him a fast car for a race or something, Race Wars. But anyways, yeah, we're picking up, I think. I guess you have two configurations, but pretty much the other configuration with the wheel straight. If it was flush like this, that would have been cool. But you saw how it looked like. It just kind of had way too much poke and a gap in between the fender and the tires. It was just, look all raised up. I can just do it real quick. You can see that just, maybe if the wheels somehow were inset more, then it may not look as bad, but because they poke out so much, and that gap under there, it just exemplifies just how not good looking it is. So you just better just cambering it like this, and yeah. Just so you know, I would not ever camber my wheels like this. That's just too extreme. I would say what's nice about this is that, I forgot one more thing I wanted to add is, they could have just left this all black, and I think, like say the larger version that Jada has, Jada, I think it's just all black, but you can see there is some hints of like the lights that are supposed to be in there. Which is kind of cool. It's actually a transparent piece here, so that's kind of neat that they added it to this. But like the larger version, I think they just made it plain, like filled in, just like black on top, like kind of like the paint job right in the middle. So that was cool. But there is another. I want to get one of this in a proper, non-super deformed in 1/64 scale, which they do have, and it's probably some. I forget what the brand is. They have it in this color. You can even get it with one of the versions with like a little mini Han, kind of like his famous kind of leaning up against the car pose, just kind of chilling against the car. And then I've seen other versions of the same car that they do in like a gunmetal or gray, which would be a cool alternate color for this. But if you didn't want to just do the classic orange and black, that you do a black and gray or gunmetal. And I forget if there's maybe one other color, but I plan to get one of those. I just have a nice version of that RX-7 because there isn't any really good ones that I can think of. The Jada ones, they not quite. The paint job is not that great either on those. They're generally pretty poor. Yeah, that's about it. I thought it was going to be a lot shorter, but I kind of babbled on about this, the other matchboxes, and some other stuff I had. But this was the main focus. So sorry if I went off on a tangent, but yeah, just wanted to show this little guy off if anybody saw this or was curious. And I said, oh, should I spend the money for this? I said, it's kind of okay. So there we go. Thanks for watching.